On April 25, 1915, the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, Anzac, landed on the Gallipoli shore. These soldiers were met by Turkish troops determined to defend their homeland. In the ensuing 8 months, many lives were lost. Until the 1990s, few foreigners had visited the battlefields. Today, 20,000 backpackers walk this sacred ground each year. This is their experience.
I almost felt last night that if I'd only come to Turkey for that one reason, or if I'd only come to this side of Europe for that one reason, it would have been worth it.
To actually be in those places and see how close they were to the trenches and you know, how suicidal in places it was to get up and charge the trenches just reinforces the legend, I suppose.
Being in the trenches, understanding just how cramped things were, looking at the neck and looking just how steep it was to run up, yeah, that was an emotional experience.
The very first cemetery that we went to, it really cut me up. It was so quiet and it was so well kept, and there was no one else around. It was so peaceful, but you could imagine how it wasn't like that when the war was on and people were dying.
When we're up on the highest point, where the New Zealand monument is, you just stand and you just look at this mountain and you just go, what the hell were they thinking? This is this huge big...
Came up the steepest mountain.
Came up the steepest mountain and they just did it because they were told to do it.
You know, you see the Anzac parades and so on back home, but you know that there was a Turkish side involved, but you don't think about those things, like the legend of the Turkish soldier who came and picked up the wounded man, those kind of things, and how, you know, they used to throw bully beef and so on across the trench lines, and you do hear about that, but it doesn't stick in your mind, I think, until you're actually here.
There's a statue of the Turkish soldier who actually waved the white flag and then walked out and picked up a wounded English captain, I think, and took him back to the trenches. I thought that's more or less what Turkish people are like, you know, they're just really beautiful people.
To hear the stories that Ali told us about them just being young farm people, young farmers from around that local area who fought at Gallipoli, and the stories of the mateship between the trenches towards the end of the campaign, all those little bits and pieces, you can see that's what happened.
So on a piece of linen was written a message in broken English, of course, to Australians, word by word. I, you, tobacco. You, me, paper, every day, every day. That was the message and perfectly understood by them. Near the end of the war, day by day, casualties became less and less, decreased. And before the evacuation started, the casualties became almost zero, nil, because they were not aiming each other, but trying to shoot the bees and the birds flying in the air. That's the reason why Turkish people renamed those Anzac battles as gentlemen's war. It was a gentleman's war, and they were gentle.
Anzac Cove, I really thought we could have spent, when we first got there, we sort of had to, we could take a photo and then we could walk around the corner, and I sort of thought that was the last we're going to see of Anzac Cove. We ended up coming back there, but I was thinking at the time, shit, I don't want to leave Anzac Cove. Why don't we sit here on the beach, walk along the beach, try and have a few of us just think, well, what would it have been like, you know, with the darkness, with trying to figure out where you were.
These aren't just soldiers, they were the brothers of, you know, brothers of sisters, and they were sons, and I think that's when you sort of go, oh, these are real people, they're not just numbers, and they're not
Very
just...
young people.
Yeah, very, very young people.
I don't know, just they were so brave and they were so young, just, you know, younger than us. They were just boys, and I couldn't believe that they were in such a beautiful place, and this beautiful little area on a peninsula on the other side of the world, and they didn't even know where they were. They wouldn't have even known where they were. And they were just there for adventure, you know. And they were so brave. Even when they knew they were going to die, and within a matter of minutes, they just didn't even hesitate. I just couldn't get over that.
But you think it's all quite bizarre, don't you?
Yeah, they sort of welcomed us with open arms after we came here and fought them and killed so many people, and they killed so many of us. And now all these Australians and New Zealanders invade their town, take over basically, and there's no hard feelings.
Yeah.
I think it'd be like if the Japanese did that to us, we'd have a few things to say.
I mean, if the Turks were different and were very still, you know, defensive about it, angry about it, bitter and twisted, then the Aussies could go home in exactly the same way. You know, we need to get back at those Turks one day. They've, you know, killed my grandfather. They don't like us, whatever.
Pops!
it is very much now the feeling of let's remember so it doesn't happen again, and I think that is a great thing. Honour the people that died, but realise how little was gained by it and how many lives were lost, and so it won't happen again. And I think that the Anzac legend will live on for generations and generations. It's definitely not going to die with the last Anzac.